are. Hey, Danny, good to see you. Oh, man, you already knocked out the live goal. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. You said it. Hopefully, people will start to come in. Let's do harps. What a wild and wacky day. It's hard to know where to begin. I'll start by introducing the live, and hopefully more people will start to trickle in. I'll untangle myself a second. Some wires tangling themselves up. Okay. So, all right. Welcome to Yoddah Live. Today is Monday, August 11th, 2025. I am Yoddah, spelled Yoddah, because film studios are litigious. And the unthinkable has happened, and the sad part is this is not going to be the worst of it. Dump has announced that he has taken over D.C. illegally, and essentially just daring America to stop him at this point. But that is not likely to happen. Thank you, Danny, for sharing out the live. People are just trickling in and out, but I'm sure they'll, well, I'm not sure, but hopefully they'll come in and stay, build up an audience. I think everybody's probably frazzled by now, since, it's nonstop. The onslaught from this allegedly criminal administration. That's, it's really a crime family cosplaying as an administration. What's up, Pedro? Hello, Data Queen. I've never seen anything like it. I've read about this throughout my life. It's always been happening in other countries. This is the first time that I've seen it happen in America. And to say the very least, it is disquieting. I think that where America is headed is going to be a very, very dark place, and it's going to stay there for longer than anybody wants. Hello, Cynthia. Good to see you. Q42, looks like. Hello, welcome. So the title of this episode is Dump Takes DC. The President of America has gone rogue and decided that he's going to live out his fantasy as a dictator. We know he's always wanted it. We know he has always praised, openly and publicly, praised dictators, strongmen, despots, authoritarians, call them whatever you want, people that oppress their countries and eliminate dissent. And good evening, Q42. This is America on paper is the place where citizens can, as it says, redress their grievances. We are allowed to express our displeasure with the government. We are allowed, again, at least on paper, this is all conceptual, we are allowed to look at the president and say to him or anyone else we feel like that we think they're not doing a good job. We can be as harsh as we want. We can use whatever language we want. It's all theoretically protected by law. To a lot of people, the burning of the American flag is a very distasteful thing to do. And I understand that. But that is protected under freedom of speech. Burning a flag is a form of protest. Protest is a form of speech. Speech is protected, at least on paper. Hi, JK. Good to see you. But we have a man in office right now who only operates in one gear, and that gear is you have to love me, you have to worship me, you have to agree with everything I say, or I will punish you. Thank you again, Danny, for the heart me. Thank you, JK, for the heart me. You know, I was listening to that idiot Piers Morgan talk, and one of his guests was talking about the idea of like, no, it was actually Piers himself, because he's as big an idiot as they come on television. He was talking about the Democrats would do better if they were nice to dump. Why? Why does a president have to be praised and worshipped and lavished with goodly feelings just to get him to do the right thing? Thank you, Rev, for the heart me. Why the president, again, on paper, even though I know this isn't real, but on paper, the president is the servant of the people. He is technically a civil servant, simply the highest level civil servant that America has. And on paper, that civil servant is beholden to the people. They figured out a long time ago that you don't have to be of, by, and for the people. You can be of, by, and for corporations. And there was a woman who said specifically that America was no longer of, by, and for the people, and it was of, by, and for Wall Street. And this woman made that claim in the year 1890. 1890. That's wild. That's wild. That's what we have going on. We have a government that knows that the only people who matter are the people that belong to the wealth class. If you don't belong to the wealth class, they don't care about you. But now that I've made some opening remarks, I'll bring Danny up. Anyone who wants to come up, feel free to request. Hopefully you see request boxes. If you don't, right next to the comment box is an icon with a blue and red person outlined, and you can click that to request up. How you doing, Danny?
Okay, Yoda, how are you?
I am excellent. I'm a little more tired than usual because for some reason, I would say last night, but it was technically this morning when I went to bed, I woke up every hour and a half. I don't know why. It just happens sometimes. Um, how are you?
Actually, believe it or not, I didn't get up till almost noon today. So,
But you say that every day, though.
no, I had not really, but actually, I did today. It was a quarter to 12 when I got up today, and I was surprised.
Oh, look, I'm glad you got a chance to sleep. So,
Yeah,
so we are witnessing the application of tyranny at its highest. Um, you know my criticisms of America. You know that I feel that America has always been a version of what we're seeing right now, but it
right.
was the long game. It was let's bleed them slowly, right? And even though that's a shitty thing, it's not as shitty as all out fascism. What do you
Correct.
think?
I agree with you. This act that he did uh, today, and actually he started it over the weekend. He just came out and talked about it today. Uh, Makes him even a bigger liar than he is, because if you remember, he said he couldn't deploy the National Guard on January 6th. It wasn't in his purview to do. But look what happened. He could do it now. So what's the difference? There is no
Well,
difference. He could have done it then.
the difference is that he wanted to see what was happening on J6.
Right. He wanted to see that happening. He didn't want to deploy the guard after his own people. That was his people that were doing that crap. And that's that amazes me that all of a sudden now there's such a problem in Washington D.C. He's deploying the National Guard and taking over the Metro Police Department, but he couldn't do it back in January 6th of when that happened.
Well, that's
So
what he
he's
claimed. He claimed he
yeah,
couldn't do it, which, of course, everybody that knows even a thimbleful about how the laws work in America understand that the National Guard is completely under the president's purview, and he had all ability to do something about it, but he actually sat and watched for over 3 hours.
mhm,
Over 3 hours, he just sat and watched the events of J6 unfold because he was hoping it would go his way. He
right,
was hoping that Mike Pence would break the law and install him as president, and and to hedge his bets, Trump convened a slate of fake electors, completely
right,
fraudulent, completely against the law. Some of those people have already lost their law licenses. Some of them have pled guilty and done their acts of contrition in court. I think they call it the ablution or something like that. And like it is kind of interesting to me. I just distracted myself with a thought, but it is interesting to me that so many people around Dump have gone to jail. Like Michael Cohen is a perfect example of this. Michael Cohen went to jail for the thing that eventually Dump was also convicted of.
correct,
Right? Because, Michael Cohen made the payments, but it was Dump's money and Dump's fraudulent entry and Dump
yep,
manipulating an election and all this other stuff by withholding information from the public. I mean, it's just, and I mean, look at, Paul Manafort, all these people that went to jail that were in Dump's inner circle. And these MAGA hats looked at that and said, yeah, no, that's fine. We're okay with that.
uh,
It's
trumped up
amazing.
charges. What they
Jessica,
said, trumped up.
I'd love for you to come up and explain more about what you're writing, because I had heard something about that also, about the time frame and the time crunch that Dump is under. So let's see. Yep. Jessica is coming up. Excellent. Oh, trouble loading. Oh, is she there? Jessica?
Hi.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I'm
You're
here.
there. I just can't see you, but that's fine. So, um, I had read something about a time frame, and I heard that it was something about 48 hours to control the
Yes.
DC police without some kind of approval.
So they have to send notice to, I believe it is the Oversight Committee, within 48 hours of it being implemented. Now, he did announce it this morning, but from what they're saying is it actually started last night.
Mm,
So we're already to the point where we're nearing 24 hours. From what, because you can call the House Oversight Committee majority leaders and everything. They have public lines where you can call them and you can ask them, "Hey, have you received this notice?" And they can tell you, "No, we have not received this yet." As of the last time I checked, they have not yet received that notice, so that leaves round about a little over 24 hours left. At which point, if they do not receive that after that time period, it does become an illegal action. Now, how the act is set up is that it gives him the ability to do this for 30 days. If he wants to extend it past 30 days, then it has to go through congressional approval. But within that first 48 hours of it being implemented, he has to send notice to Oversight Committee, which has not yet been done.
got it. Okay. So I kind of had a mixture of both of those elements there. All right.
That's where the
So,
30 days came from that I was talking about this morning.
right. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's easy enough, obviously. I mean, he has missed deadlines in the past because his legal team is dog shit, but, obviously he's still got plenty of time to do that. Very strange stuff. Traffic man, how you doing?
Good evening. I just left a Flat Earth live,
Oh, great.
and my
Jesus.
frazzled as fuck right now.
Yeah. I'm sure. Well, I
Yeah.
wish I could promise anything better over here, but um, it certainly won't be that. But unfortunately, it's just all bad news today. It's what I feared 10 years ago, that someone that sounds like Schmittler is going to be like Schmittler, and now he's being like Schmittler. And the only thing that his psychotic cult can hang their hat on is the idea that nobody's been thrown into ovens. But we're not too far off. We're already at the concentration camp level,
Yep.
because that's one of the things that he talked about was getting rid of homeless people. And he said specifically, we're going to relocate them. We're going to give them a place to live outside of the cities. And I guess he probably thought he was being clever, but we know he's talking about the concentration camps that they're building all over the
Absolutely.
country. All right.
You
So,
know what else I caught too
yeah.
is his talk about, you know, policing the slums, right? As he called them,
Uh,
that was the verbiage he used.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that sound an awful lot like the ghettos
Mm-hmm.
that were
it's
instituted
Yeah.
potato,
throughout
potato.
Germany? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, I thought the same exact thing. I mean, there was so much horror packed into just a couple of minutes of a speech, and I could barely believe what I was watching, even though it's consistent with him and on brand for everything that I have thought of him from the beginning. Before he was in politics, I knew he was a shitty person. I knew all the things that he had done because I'm a New Yorker and we were front row for all this shit, right? I knew that he was pinched by Nixon's State Department or Department of Justice, one or the other, for racist real estate practices. They set up a sting on Dump, his father, and the Dump organization, and found that he was purposely lying to minorities, telling them that there were no vacancies whenever they came to apply for a place to live in one of his buildings. So we knew about that. That happened, I think, in 73 or 74. So we've known about this guy
Right.
for a long time. And we know that he stiffs his contractors. We know that he, in a public hearing on the casinos for the indigenous Americans, said, his objection was they don't look like Indians to me.
Yep.
And the disgust that the chairperson had for those comments was just beautiful. Like he was just like, this is incredible racism. Like to be that comfortable with being that racist publicly is amazing. And this was back in
Yep.
93. So this is his history is very consistent. And his family's history is very consistent. His father was in the big Triple K meeting that happened in Madison Square Garden in 1939.
Yes, he was.
So it runs in the family, right? But despite the fact that he had talked about being in politics before, that wasn't something on my radar because every time it came up, people just laughed him off the ticket. He announced a few times. I remember when he did it in 2012, and people were like, "Ha, that's funny, Donnie. Go back to chasing corn stars and paying them hush money." You know, um, but then he figured it out. He finally figured out what would appeal to the people that he wanted to vote for him. He figured out who would vote for him, which were the hayseeds, the inbreds, the mouth breathers, the troglodytes, the homeschooled sister bangers, right? He figured out, oh, okay, this is my audience. Well, how do I excite this audience? Oh, I know. Let's talk about hating the people that we all hate, right? And that's what he did in
Yep.
2015. He was locked and loaded for that announcement. When he came down the escalator and announced that he wanted to be president in 2015 and gave a speech about Mexicans, Muslims, and terrorists, he was ready. And that was the master key that unlocked his opportunity to become president.
So today, during this speech, because I was a little confused in the beginning, because the announcement was he was going to begin this speech at 10 o'clock. And I kept checking on the White House's website to watch the video, and every time I would like check in at work here this morning, it would say the president's speech will continue shortly. So I ended up on a creator who was on TikTok here. I actually found him here. His name is Chris Valenti. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him. And I ended up basically watching the speech through his YouTube live that he did today. And I actually took some notes during the speech because I was that compelled to actually write things down that I found that were like the most egregious things. I mean, the entire speech was egregious. you know, the having the guest panelists come up and speak if we, if we were to mention this as TikTok speech. But one of the things that really stood out to me was the quote, "You SPIT, we hit," speaking about protesters, you know, yelling at police during these events and stuff like that. And we're going to hit harder and all this stuff. And I apologize. I'm trying to keep it TikTok safe too.
Mm-hmm.
And he even said, cops can do anything now. Those were his words. Cops can do anything now.
Yeah, his whole justification was that before, people could, SPIT in a police officer's face, and they just had to sit there and take it. They couldn't do
Right.
anything. Well, a quick Google search will show you that that is not the case, and it has always
No.
been considered assault, and you can be
Assault.
charged for that.
Correct.
Yeah, so they could immediately charge someone with assault if they did that anyways, but I mean, well, that's like, there was so many things, because I
And
also took
also,
notes on the
let's face it,
speech.
to pretend that cops didn't do anything if someone spat on them is
Right.
just
Yes.
absurd.
Right.
Yes.
But like he also said that the schmurder rate was like 40 47 or 45, something like that, out
Yeah.
of every
Completely lied about that.
100,000. It's not, it's 25. He also said that, you know, right now, schmielent crime is at an all-time high, the highest it's ever been in DC. It's actually at a 30-year low.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it goes on and on and on.
Well, here's the problem that I have with you, Jessica, is that you insist on using facts to ruin a good story.
Exactly.
Damn, I'm sorry, guys. I'll try to
How
tone
dare
down
you,
on
Jessica?
that.
It's a terrible habit. No, but here's what's worse than a buffoon president going on television and lying is the buffoon followers that believe everything he says.
Yeah, I actually got into a pretty big argument with my father about it, because I was at my parents' house when the speech was taking place, and they were watching it on, of course, Fox News. Um, and my dad, especially, really gravitated towards that particular USPIT we hit kind of thing. And he was like, "Boy, I couldn't just stand there if somebody did that to me." I was like, "Well, they don't have to. They never have."
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, yeah, sure." And I grabbed my phone to show him and like Google it and show it to him in real time. He was like, "Oh yeah, of course you're gonna look it up." And I was like, "Yeah, and you should be too." What is so wrong with knowing the facts? I have spent my entire life hearing my very Republican family talk about nothing but how you can never trust anything that comes out of a politician's mouth. And yet, this is the one time that you want to just believe whatever this person says is gospel immediately and not fact check it. This is the one time that you want to say, "Oh, yeah, well, he said it, so it must be true." No, you should be fact checking everything that he says. And then, of course, he just kind of shut down and, you know, stopped replying because the proof was right there in his face and he didn't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. Well, I get videos sent to me every day. And, you know, I have no problem reposting them. And I repost most of them, especially if I already know about the details of the video. But there are times where I'm hearing something for the first time. The first thing I do is search to see if I can verify the information. Because even though it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, this confirms my bias because I hate this motherfucker, so I'll spread whatever bad news about him that I can, but I don't want to live in an echo chamber, and I am not looking to confirm my bias. I'm looking to put out the truth, right? So there are times where
Absolutely.
I'll tell people like, yeah, that's actually not substantiated by evidence, so I'm not going to repost this, you know. And I know they're well-meaning, and I don't have any hard feelings about it, but it's just like, yeah, I'm not going to share shitty news just because it feels good to prove that he's a piece of shit,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
But so that's a long way of saying that I agree with you 100% that, you know, whatever news comes across our desks, we have to confirm it. Like this thing that MAGA hats just cannot seem to grasp. And I'm at the point of, instead of making it 2 words, cannot, I'm almost tempted to make it 1 word, cannot, which has a different meaning to it. But I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close to believing that they truly don't have the ability to grasp the truth. and they don't have the ability to understand that when they do a gotcha moment, or that when they attempt to do a gotcha moment, which I saw just an hour ago on television, Pierce Morgan, someone was laying out all the facts of the illegalities that Dump is allegedly engaging in with regard to immigration. And of course, the reply from Pierce, the Dump sack swinging sycophant, said was, how many people did Obama deport? And it's like,
Yep.
again with
Yeah.
this bullshit. It's like, first of all, why do you think the number of deportations is the issue? No one is talking about that on our side. Nobody's saying the problem with what Dump is doing is that he's doing too much of it. No, we're saying the problem with what Dump is doing is that the shit is illegal. Okay? He's
also
stripping
love
due
when
process. You know what I mean? So they can't, this is what they can't wrap their head around, is that if you point out something like, oh, what if Bill Clinton's in the files? Then arrest Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not in a cult. We're not swinging from anybody's sack. We're not sycophants. We're not just blindly devoted to a side. We're devoted to ethics.
Not just that, but I love whenever I hear people try to immediately take that argument right after they've talked about how, Democrats are just letting all these people run, willy-nilly across the border, and we're just, letting them have a free-for-all. And then they switch to the argument, well, look at how many people Obama deported. I'm like, so which one is it?
Right.
Are they deporting too many people, or are Democrats somehow too soft on immigration and deportations? Which one is it?
Hey, AC is here. Hi, AC. AC's new page is Justice Over Tyranny, so people need to follow that post haste. They shut down his first account because AC, if you can believe it, is more brutal than I am when it comes to the injustice that's going on in America, and he takes even more action than I do to combat it. So I have nothing but respect for AC. Again, if you look in the chat, it's Justice Over Tyranny. Follow him and start checking out his posts. And soon he'll be back to going live. So let's get it on. But yeah, it's the cult members. The sad thing about cult members is that they never know they're in a cult, and
Right.
that's why they never understand that they need to leave the cult for their own safety. But yeah, they are in a cult. This is all cultish behavior. And I don't mean cult the way people call a chick that's bothering them crazy. I mean, literally, this is a cult. Okay? This is a cult. And they're checking every single box of cult behavior. And one of the main indicators is absolute blind worship for the cult leader.
Well, that was another topic that had come up that I wrote down in my notes was I believe it was Trump said it, and correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say Pete Hegseth also said it about there have been zero border crossings since.
Yeah, that's their new
Yeah.
talking point.
Yeah, and
A
it's like
statistical impossibility.
Right.
But, whatever.
exactly, exactly.
There's
This
also
is not reality.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but it went like mini viral. There was a man who had been deported back to Mexico, and he was like, thanking the Trump administration for giving me a weekend vacation from my job. Don't worry, I'll be back on Monday. And he filmed himself in the van, in the Coyotes van, and then back on the job site on Monday. He got right back. So clearly, that's not actually happening, that there's zero border crossings when we have people filming themselves crossing the border and showing right the fuck back up.
You know how I knew it was suspicious? As soon as Dump said it. Like, that's all I need to know at this point. Oh, did Dump
Fair
say
enough.
something? Then chances are it's a lie. Right now, Dump only tells the truth unintentionally. And I'm not trying to be funny. That's what it seems like to me. If he says something that's true, it's completely by accident. It just happens to be some benign true thing that he's saying, but he lies all the time. I mean, how just the speech about taking over DC. There were so many lies just in that one speech.
Yeah, he tried to say, what was it, it was either the Capitol Police or DC Police, that there was only like 35 of them policing the whole city. And then someone fact checked him in real time and he found out it was actually 3,500, and he was
Right.
shocked because that's basically a whole army.
That's
Yeah.
a small army. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something that I think we don't spend enough time talking about, because it is one of the most obvious things about Dump, is that he is virulently stupid. Like shockingly stupid. And it's made
Yes.
worse by the fact that he is the most powerful human on planet Earth. And his job carries not only immense power, but immense consequences if whichever way that power is used, right? Like when Obama was in office and he used his power to put 30 million people on health care. That was a huge consequence to utilizing and implementing his power. And when Dump got into office and decided that for 70 days he was going to pretend C-19 didn't exist, the immense consequences behind that power were also felt in the fact that America is 5% of the world's population and had 20% of the C-19 fatalities. So this is a big deal when a man this powerful is saying what he's saying. But let me take a break here for just a quick PSA. We're at 11,000 likes. We're moving kind of slowly today, but that's okay. There's 37 of us in here. Get to tapping, please, so we can get that number way, way, way up. And I will remind everybody that I have a new account. I have publicly now promised that by this Saturday, I will have at least one video on it, and it's my coaching account. It is called Coach.Yoddah. So feel free to look it up. Please follow if you like. And that whole channel is going to be devoted to coaching and all the stuff I've learned since 1987 of personal development, trying to make my life better. I am not a life coach because I think it's completely obnoxious to call yourself a life coach. Sorry to anybody that does, but that's my opinion. But I am an emotional management coach because that's what I know how to do. I know how to manage my emotions, and I know how to teach other people to do it as well. So, back to our regularly scheduled program. And thank you, Traffic Man, for knocking out my Chili Peppers live goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, going to speaking of he's phenomenally stupid. Even if way before he even ran for office, his own Wharton professor was quoted saying, and I quote, "He is the biggest fucking moron I have ever had in my class." That is a direct quote from his own professor. And you can't put it off as, oh, they're just slandering him because he ran for politics. No, this came out way before he ran for office.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also, I saw where somebody, I haven't done enough, so take this with a grain of salt, as but somebody was apparently digging through their through their grandfather's attic and came across a bunch of file boxes. And apparently their grandfather was a counselor that was in charge of some sort of testing results and everything there I believe it was either West Point or Wharton. It was one of the schools that Trump had attended. And in it had their testing results for their IQ testing. And supposedly Trump scored a 70.
Isn't that basically a potato?
That is literally like 2 or 3 points above what you would be considered to medically be considered mentally incapable. We'll put it that way.
One step above an idiot.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
So, as always, one of the propaganda parrots made a comment. Let's talk about the power your dementia man had and didn't even know where he was. LOL. Boop.
Trump doesn't know where
The
he is.
auto
He doesn't
pen.
even know where he's going. He's said multiple times that he's going to Russia to meet with Putin in the next few days. He's going to Alaska. He doesn't even know where he's going.
But you could see Putin's house from Alaska.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm taking bets right now to find out whether or not we lose the Aleutian Islands as part
Trump
of this
also
meeting.
Oh yeah. Trump also said that Jeb Bush was the reason why we got into so much trouble in the Middle East. He
Yeah.
thought Jeb Bush was the president.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about a dementia patient?
Well,
Fuck
no,
out of here.
that was just a misspeak. You know, just like ramming the ramparts and raiding the airports. You know, it was just misspeak. You know.
So here's what I have to say. Even though this feeble attempt at whataboutism is really not something that I need to pay attention to, I'm going to pay attention to it. What if everybody's right and Biden was just completely off his rocker the whole time he was in office? Didn't change the results that we got. Didn't change the fastest recovery from C-19. Didn't change record lows in unemployment numbers, record highs in wage growth.
Employment.
It like, okay, so he didn't know where the bathroom was. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I mean,
He
look,
fell off of a bicycle.
he's a goofy dude, and he has been for a long time. Biden is just one of those guys, partly because of his stutter, but also partly he just says goofy things, like when he was on and he was trying to make a joke, oh, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. And we were like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like that was a dumb thing to say. And I won't disagree with anybody that wants to point out that stuff. You want to talk about him making gaffes all the time? He was a fucking gaffe machine. Absolutely. Right?
Sure.
You want to say that sometimes he was supposed to exit stage left and he started exiting stage right? Sure. Fine. I won't deny any of that. What does it matter? And let me tell you how committed I am to this philosophy. When it was discovered that Bill Clinton was banging Monica Lewinsky, here's what I said. When I walked into the voting booth, I didn't see the category of husband and father. Okay? I saw the category of president. It is horrible what Bill Clinton did to his wife and his daughter. That's the extent to which I care about two consenting adults banging each other. Okay? What I really care about for a president is the fucking job that they do. So make fun of Biden's this, that, or the other thing all you fucking want. You want to claim he was out to lunch? You want to claim he had dementia? Fine. What results did his administration get for America? And here's the answer for all you dumb fucking MAGA hats. Every administration is judged the same way. There is a set of criteria having to do with the economy, with growth, GDP, fucking safety, engagements in conflicts, all that stuff. We all judge every administration the same way. So as much as I thought Biden was an asshole, because I never liked that dude, okay? He enacted one of the worst pieces of legislation in American history, in my opinion, which was preventing people from declaring bankruptcy for credit card debt. That was his doing. He introduced that bill on behalf of MBNA. Their fucking lawyers wrote that bill for him, and he passed it.
Yep.
That was fucking horrible. All right, and I never forgave him for that. But since I'm fair and balanced, when I look at his record, despite the fact that I didn't agree with everything he did, I cannot deny the success of his administration. And when I look at Dump's record in the first administration, it was shit. When I look at his progress in the first 6.5 months of his new administration, it's dog shit. So whatever bullshit schoolyard taunts that you want to throw at Joe Biden, I don't give a fuck. It's meaningless to the conversation. And you MAGA hats have to elevate past third grade taunting in your arguments. What about this? What about that? Shut up. Learn something. Figure out the truth before you open your fucking mouth.
If I may, I believe from some news reports I heard today that I guess that what is it? Obergefell v. Hodges.
Obergefell.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I apologize about the pronunciation. Is now been requested for the Supreme Court to reevaluate.
That's been in the works for about 2 months now. It started off, I believe it was Iowa or Idaho. It's one of those, where they had started it at the state level because they knew that it was something that they were going to have to work their way up to, and passed it through their state level Supreme Court, and then had it turned to the Supreme Court. So this has actually been, Idaho, thank you. This has actually been quietly in the works for about 2 months. This is another reason why I tell people all the time, don't just pay attention to the national headlines. If you really want a closer peek at what they are trying to do, pay attention to the small headlines coming from the state level.
Exactly.
There is a resource that I use called Bill Track 50, just 50. You can look up any current proposed or introduced legislation, federal level, state level, whatever. You can look it up by keyword even, and keep track of what any state is trying to do. Because that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to implement things on a smaller level and go state by state until they slowly have enough states that they can justify doing something at a federal level. So please, people, start paying attention to the smaller things that are happening on state levels, and it will give you a broader perspective of what we are looking at in the future at federal levels.
Yeah, that's where it starts. And by the way, we were saying this in 2022 when Roe v. Wade fell. Everyone in their right mind was saying, well, next they're going to come after the rainbow community, and they didn't disappoint us.
Nope. And I mean, by we all know what's next.
I got news for Clarence Thomas.
Yep.
I got news for Clarence Thomas and his snow bunny. They're about to get some bad news because they are going to go after Loving v. Virginia, guaranteed.
There it is.
And here's the thing. What's his name? What do I call him? Oh, Clarence Uncle Thomas.
Oh, God.
Here's the thing, Clarence Uncle Thomas. They don't need your vote anymore. So your colleagues are going to rob you and your wife of your right to be married. I am not a gambler. The gambling was the first addiction I ever recognized in me when I was 18, and I stopped doing it since then. But I would be willing to bet money that Stephen Miller is thinking about Loving v. Virginia from 1967 that made interracial marriage legal. Guaranteed.
Because he subscribes to the whole, YT people are becoming the minority bullshit, and we need to up the amount of YT children being born and all that horse shit. So, yeah, of course. It's just the natural next step for, Gollum over there.
Yeah, he's like he's like a serpent, that dude. He really looks like a snake.
Which state from the South introduced legislation recently trying to overturn Loving v. Virginia in their state.
Oh, I don't know about this.
Who was this? I swear it may have not
I
gone anywhere,
feel.
but
I
there was legislation introduced, and I want to say it was Tennessee,
I think it was either Tennessee or Mississippi.
which makes
Hey,
sense either way.
SMA, whatever your dumb name is, I'm gonna. Oh, I can't invite you up for some reason. Probably because you have a private account. What a surprise! But I would love to hear from you since you keep saying goofy things in the chat, and I know it's difficult to type, you know, especially with your knuckles dragging across the ground as they probably do. Why don't you come up and talk to me and talk to us about it? Share your goofy thoughts. I doubt you have any interesting things to say, but I'll give you the opportunity to say them. I'm inviting you up, and of course, everybody that's a regular to my show knows what happens if you don't accept my invitation.
There are a few things in this world that get dragged harder than knuckles at a Trump rally.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love Jordan Klepper's work where he went into the Lion's Den and interviewed MAGA hats at dump rallies. And I gotta say, man, talk about a family tree that goes straight up. These people were in bad shape, just saying the
Yeah.
dumbest things.
That man. I know he has security with him when he does these things, but my goodness,
Yeah.
just the cojones on that
Well,
man
he ain't
to
got
even
that
do
much
this.
security. He's got a guy or two that back him up, and he's
Right.
surrounded
Yeah.
by these dumb MAGA hats.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
When you're dealing with people whose family tree looks like a broomstick, you might want to up the security a little.
well, SMA, blah, 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 whatever his dumb name is, decided to be a punk ass like I thought he would be, and so he's blocked. I love it.
Womp womp.
Let's
Ran
see.
like the little bitch he is. I
Yeah.
think.
Well, he didn't run. I threw him out, but civil war is getting real. Someone is calling for help. I still don't agree with this civil war idea, but
No, I think that it's illogical to say civil war. It wouldn't really fall under that.
yeah, I mean, how
No,
would you
martial
even
law
figure
for
out who
sure.
to go after?
Yeah,
Like,
but
Right.
yeah.
and the circumstances of that civil conflict back in the 1800s are so different than they are now. First of all, I think the entire population of America was like less than 10 million people, right? And you had clear lines of delineation, even though it was literally as easy as grabbing a coat and putting one on you if you wanted to fool somebody. But like,
Exactly.
you know, how like do you think America? Have you been to a mall recently and see these bipeds that are enormous, just going from store to store buying 32-ounce drinks and stuffing their faces with supersized food? Like, these are not people that are going to get into a conflict, right?
I
These
resemble those
these
remarks.
these guys that think they're Minutemen, that really all they do on those long weekends is get drunk and circle jerk each other. Come on, man. These are the people you think are going to be like, like Red Dawn Wolverines. Nah, that ain't happening anymore,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
no, I don't think we got much risk of old Bubba Joe over there participating in guerrilla warfare. So,
Meal Team 6 is what I like to
We're,
refer to them
Exactly.
as.
oh
we're
my god,
basically
Y'all Qaeda.
y'all caught it.
we are
Jesus.
basically in a Cold War, and
Well,
it's
maybe.
it's not a civil war, but it's more like a Cold War. The Iron Curtain's been dropped by Trump, but it's not across the whole country. It's fragmented in parts of the country. But it's a Cold War, is basically what it is.
That's a fair analogy. That's a fair analogy. I mean, it doesn't feel like the Cold War that I remember, because that's, of course, the superpowers just sort of seeing who was going to blink first or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
when you get into it, it does make sense. But I don't think it's going to be civil in the way that it was in the 1800s. Because again, I don't like
No.
how do you even figure out who your enemy is? You
Well,
know what I
and
mean?
that's the thing is technology has changed so much since that point in time that we're not going to have, fleets of men traversing Gettysburg. That's not how that's not how things would go down now. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
it's
they
it's
they can they
yeah,
can level your house from a toy. They just
exactly.
strap a weapon to a drone. Same thing that 13-year-old kids are playing with in the park. They can strap an armament to that and level your house. Like, they're not worried about you.
Right.
Also, if you just look at it from a logical standpoint, the closest that we may get in terms of like quote unquote civil war is um if you want to look at it, state against state and everything like that, it would be on an economic level and it would be through legislation and policy, but mostly through economics. There wouldn't be this rash of people pew-pewing it out in the street. That's
Right.
that's not what it would come to if you
Yeah,
just
that's
be
just
like.
that's a right wing fever dream.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. Like, if I understand that things are harrowing right now, and like, yeah, shit looks real bad and people are super, super divided, but just try to remain logical. People aren't going to be out here like just pew pewing at each other over this shit. No, like, if it comes down to at a government level, it'll just be legislation, policy, and economics.
Yeah,
Yep,
the
I
lost
agree.
cause idea of neighbor versus neighbor was not reality,
Yeah.
even during the 1860s. No, that isn't how it went down.
Yeah, that was more of like sort of based on facts because it was possible for, let's say, for instance, even though from what I understand, there's no documented evidence of it, it was theoretically possible for two brothers to each be on different sides of the
Correct.
civil conflict, right? Brother versus
Right.
brother, that was one of the things, but unlikely, right? Unlikely to be a
Exactly.
real thing. Um, and now
Yeah.
it's so different now.
If it actually does come to the point of, you know, pew pews being fired, it will not be citizen against citizen. Logically, it will be the result of, crowd control by armed enforcement. At one of these, what's the TikTok version we're using now? Music festivals, right?
Hmm.
There you go.
Going into the crowd, and it will be the crowds fighting back against law enforcement or National Guard or whatever control they're using at that point. If it comes down to actual, pew pews firing, that's likely what it will be, but not. It's not going to be just your average Joes pitting themselves against each other.
No.
So
It's possible it'll
listen
be a
listen to this username. Proud American Infidel says, God bless sovereign America and Israel. And the so Proud American obviously is the nickname. Sharia is the P-A-T. That's
Free
very,
Palestine.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Fuck you, Free Palestine.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say to that.
So I'm just so disgusted by that I'm not even going to invite them up for a conversation. Because, hey, this is, I'm going to ask sort of I don't know, a personal favor, I guess, to everybody. Could we all just agree to stop pretending that Israel's the good guy?
Yep.
We just
Yep.
please,
Absolutely. Fuck
Yep.
them.
I could have
and
told you long
let me
before.
just give context to that. Hello, Stephen Martin. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello. So, about a third of my family is Jewish through marriage, right? My mother remarried when I was 7 to a Jewish man. He was my stepfather for 27 years until he perished. And he is the one who gave me insight into the horrors of World War II. He was a tank driver in World War II. On a side note, he used to refer to tanks as rolling coffins. but never really got into the details of that. But, war is hell. Let's just put it that way. And so I always, from childhood, had a sensitivity to what happened during World War II. And for a country like Israel, who has a long, long, long history of trying to annex every neighbor around them and just being brutal and ruthless, I am so tired of people defending that and pretending that starving hundreds of thousands of people, including infants, is okay, at taking target practice with people that are on food lines because they're starving and trying to get food. We're going to pretend that's okay. We're going to look at footage of an entire region reduced to rubble while Israelis brag that they dropped 6,000 armaments. We're just gonna keep pretending that they're the good guys. Fuck that.
Yep. There was
Stephen,
a
oh, go
video.
ahead,
Oh,
traffic
sorry.
man,
No,
and then we'll talk to
I
Steve.
apologize. Okay. There was a video that I don't know if anybody is familiar with Miss Rachel. She's a child content creator. Has like all stuff for kids. She makes shows
A
for
lot
kids
of
and stuff like
people's
that.
free babysitter.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And she has taken a very strong stance for Palestinians. Okay. And
And they
she's
tried to
met a lot of
cancel her.
yes, she has met, I mean, just mountains of ridicule because of that. And the other day, she shared here on her TikTok page, there was a video where there was a Palestinian father holding his, and I don't know if it was his daughter, his son, whatever. It was just this infant in his hands, right? Maybe about 1.5 years old, and he had his phone there, and you could hear like Miss Rachel's show playing, and this innocent child started like clapping and smiling. But the disturbing part of this is he's sitting in this chair surrounded by rubble that used to be their home. And here's this child that has no idea of anything that's happening outside of I see Miss Rachel, she's making fun noises and I'm going to clap and smile and stuff. I just don't understand how any human can look at that and say that person needs not exist because of who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, she even had a Palestinian girl that was a double amputee because she
Yes.
was injured in a blast. She had her on her show, and people put her through the ringer for that.
Stephen, how you doing this evening?
Doing the best I can, I guess. It's tough stuff we're all living through on a day-to-day basis. Not
Yeah,
as tough as the people who are the direct targets of
yeah.
American weapons that we have sent to the Middle East to destroy children.
Yeah. There's always going to be worse, but for America, this is starting to look like a time that's going to rival the original sin of America, which is slavery, and then the Trail of Tears and the Japanese internment, and this is going to rival those times. We talked earlier on Danny's live about what happened May 4th, 1970 at Kent State in Ohio at the hands of the
Yep.
National Guard. When you unleash the National Guard onto the public, sometimes really bad things can happen. And 4 teenagers, unarmed college students, lost their lives because of that. And so, yeah, do people around the world have it worse? Absolutely. But for America, this is about to be probably as bad as it's ever been and possibly worse.
Yeah.
I'm
My mom was there, by the way.
Your mom was in Ohio?
We live here in Ohio, and she was a student. It was her freshman year at Kent State University when that was all going down. So
Yeah. What were you going to say, Stephen?
Oh, one second, I'm grabbing my charger.
Okay.
Don't want to lose power here. I just you look at this, you look at the victims, you look at who we are and how we've always blustered our might, and it just feels like shit. Feels like shit to be an American right now.
Yeah, there is a quote that said, I believe it was George Carlin, I can't remember who it was, but said that it's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yeah, George Carlin.
And yes, thank you, George Carlin. And I mean, in reality, I feel like the only people who are truly 100%, yeah, America's great, are the people who don't know a fucking thing about what we have done. Basically, since our inception. If you actually educate yourselves on what we do to people and what we do to other countries and how much we destabilize them and the absolute hell that we bring about humans, human beings and their lives, how can you ever be proud of that?
This is literally what I've been talking about for over 40 years now. You know, people would be like, I don't understand why these people hate America. And of course, Bush tried to spin that by saying they hate us for our freedom. It's like, dude, 80 other countries in the world have freedom. So why aren't they being hated on? You know? Oh, those fucking Swedes. You know, nobody's saying that, right? So it's a simple act of being willing to read history and not just from the source, because we are all, even if you extrapolate down to the individual, we all want to be the hero of our own story, right? Like, you know, you ever like, you know, your friend comes up to you and they start the story in the middle. Oh, this motherfucker was fucking with me earlier. And it's like, well, wait, can you kind of go back to the beginning of that? How'd that start? You know? You know, but we all want to be the hero. And so when historians write history, they want America to be the hero of that story. But once you start digging, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, it's literally 1 millimeter below the surface, right? You just have to scratch at the surface, and you see that all these stories where we're the hero are propaganda. And the fact is that from the very beginning, I am willing to say from 1492 on, the story of America was pillage and harm at any cost to get what we want. And we've done it over and over again. We've destabilized country. We've installed leaders. We've stripped countries of their resources. Look what we do to Africa. We take their resources and sell it back to them. Like, what the fuck?
And we're trying to do the same thing with Ukraine.
Exactly. Why did they hate us so much?
Yeah.
I had this dumbass about, I don't know when it was, about a month ago or something. Grown man, adult man, which I couldn't believe, but an adult man comes up and interrupts the whole works. I invited him up. He was saying goofy shit in the chat, and he got all serious. He was like, "Why do you hate him so much? Really?
Do you want it in
No,
chronological
how about
order,
why are you a
alphabetic?
grown man simping for a billionaire who doesn't give a fuck about you? How's that for a question?"
Why did they? What's crazy is like, why did they cheer him on when he's robbing their bank account?
Because they're in a cult. That's what cults do.
Well, it's and a perfect example of this is, I love whenever the tariffs get brought into the conversation, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like $28 billion made from the tariffs already." I'm like, "And where did that money come from? Who paid that?
Yeah.
Is it the American people?" So you mean you're happy that the American people are needlessly paying $28 billion that they wouldn't have had to pay otherwise? You're happy that that's more money out of your pocket?
Yeah.
Okay, weird, but okay.
Yeah. Well, that's
To me, the
cognitive
crazy
dissonance. These are the people that were complaining about the price of eggs.
the crazy part today, like that, I mean, like I have tried not to watch the news the last 4 days at all. I'm catching glimpses of it. I'll put it on for like 30 minutes and then like change the channel. But an export tax on Nvidia and AMD of 15% to sell their products.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
strictly forbidden by the Constitution.
Well, who gives a fuck about that? Trucker,
Clearly
what's
not
up,
Trump.
man?
Hey Yoda, how you doing, man?
Another day in paradise, watching America in its final days.
So listen, so you were talking about Israel and your take on it. I got to tell you a quick story, and then I got a special guest for you, right? So one day, this was, I don't know, about 6, 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, my daughter comes to me and basically says, fuck Israel, right? In so many words. And I'm like, not in this house, right? I'm like, no, no, no. We're supposed to love Israel, right? We're taught to love Israel. And then she schooled me, right? So I have her here, and if you don't mind, I want you to hear her take on it.
How old is she?
She is 19.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, I guess one day I kind of came down and I explained to them how this isn't something like that started right away. Like it wasn't something that just kind of happened. It's been in the making for years. And at first they didn't really get it, but I had to explain to them that innocent people were dying. And once they kind of figured that out, they're like, oh, like I get it now.
I got you. And what name do you go by online?
Adri Jane.
Welcome to my live. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And yeah, you're 100% correct. Israel was a construct. People want to act as though history started October 2024. It didn't.
Right.
It started in 1948. And this is the pattern that we see over and over and over again with Israel. They just want everything. They want their neighbors to have nothing, and they will continue to commit war crimes unabated unless someone does something about it. At this moment, Netanyahu is wanted in several countries for war crimes. There's certain countries he cannot go to, but where is he welcome with open arms? America.
He has an arrest warrant from the International Criminal Court as well for
Let's
war
let
crimes.
Jack Smith get at him.
Yep.
It's funny to me though, because do you know what the United States' response was the day after the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu? Donald Trump wrote an executive order sanctioning the International Criminal Court.
Oh, what a surprise. What a surprise. So
Wait,
on brand.
Donald Trump wasn't in office when that happened.
She lost.
Yes, he was. It happened. No, it was in January. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was in January after the inauguration, like a couple days after that. Yeah.
Yep, I recall that. That is accurate. Yeah.
He was being labeled a war criminal before inauguration, but the International Criminal Court didn't officially file a warrant for his arrest until after the inauguration, in which shortly after we then issued sanctions against the International Criminal Court in response.
Yeah. So Yoda, I brought my daughter because we're all like very astute in politics and whatever, right? And just when you think you know it all, you get a 18, 19-year-old who says, hey, let me show you the other side of it. Kind of like you. She reminds me of you, playing the devil's advocate, right? And showing you the other side. And she also, she had some friends of hers that didn't like her stance. Adri is an advocate. She likes to go out there and raise hell for the cause. You know what I mean? I remember we took her for her IU Bloomington college visit, and they were saying, "Hey, don't mind the police. These are people, you know, protesting the Israel, blah blah blah." And her first reaction was, "Can I go join them?" I'm like, "No, we're trying to get you in class." You know what I mean? So yeah, she's very astute.
Well,
So you're never too
listen,
old to learn.
no, absolutely. That's why there's that saying from the Bible, out of the mouths of babes.
Yep. Well, I learned something because I thought about what she was telling me. Then I went back old school on Tupac, right? Well, Tupac says, "Hey, we are hungry." He says, "How many times am I going to ask? How many times am I going to beg before we just kick the door in?" He says, "We are hungry. Please let us in. We are hungry. Please let us in. You don't let us in, we're just gonna kick the fucking door in." And that's what happened. So
Just for clarity purposes, I'm looking at the International Criminal Court's website right now. Yeah, arrest warrant was issued on the 21st of November of 2024, and then Donald
Oh, I
Trump,
stand corrected.
when Donald Trump took office, he then levied a. So
The
that was
sanction.
yeah.
Okay, well, I was part correct. Thank you for the fact check in real time. I appreciate that. So I was wrong on when the
All of these
timeline
days
was.
seem to mesh together. All of these days seem
Both
to
things
mesh together.
happened, but I was a little wrong on the timeline. Thank you.
Yeah, and the important part of that is the fact that Dump would side with someone like this. Like and this is the dirty work of the American government. This is what has always gone on. Like, if you look at the history of conflicts in America, and I think I did a count one time. I went on Wikipedia to look at how many conflicts America had been in, and this was maybe 5 or 10 years ago, something like that. And at that time, it was 125 different conflicts. But when you look at a lot of them, you see how shady they are. Like when you look at, I think it was the Spanish American War, where the battle cry was "Remember the Maine," and that was referring to a ship called the Maine that they claimed was sunk by the enemy. And then we come to find out that the engine blew up and no one attacked it. So they lied to get America into that conflict. Just like with Vietnam in the Gulf of Tonkin. Just like Operation Northwoods, where they were going to stage false flag events and blame it on the Cubans. America is into shady shit.
yes, they are. Hey, has anyone on this panel, or even you, Yoda, seen the video? I think I posted it last year with Jared Kushner. He had a candid interview with a guy, and they were talking about Gaza. And they were talking about making it some sort of beachfront hotel and all of this other stuff. And the guy says, "Well, how are you doing it?" He says, "Well, we'll just bulldoze it and move them out." Right? No one really saw that video because it was one of those ones that was hiding. But now look what Trump is saying. Well, we're going to make it a beachfront property.
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple of days ago, he was questioned in the Oval Office, um, and one of the members of the press there had asked him, like, you had said previously about thinking about buying Gaza and doing the Riviera of the Middle East, as he called it. Is that still the case? And he said, "We don't have to buy Gaza; we'll just take it." And they
Right.
said, "Under what
Yeah.
authority?" He said, "Under the American authority."
Yep.
There you go.
There's no such
He's
thing.
See,
Yeah, and he
because
said
because
there's
this
nothing
goes
left of
back,
it to
by the
buy,
way.
anyways. Yeah.
This goes back to what I was saying about how dumb he is. He doesn't remember which parts are supposed to be the quiet parts. You
Right.
know, they talk about so much shit. I mean, they're scheming constantly in his administration, and I'm sure it's like, okay, okay, Donnie, go out and say this about this, right? But this is the real story, but go out and say this. And sometimes he gets confused between what the real story is. That's why when he was campaigning right before the election at one of his, Schmittler rallies, he said, "Oh, we got a surprise for you coming up. I can't say what it is, but there's going to be a surprise during the election." So he can't. He's like a giddy child with a secret. He can't keep things in.
Right.
And at another event, he was saying, "Oh, come on, Christians, vote for me. You'll never have to do it again. You'll never have to worry about it after this vote." That's the quiet part, Donnie. We knew that you were trying to rig things, and look what he's doing now. This is exactly what he's doing now. The same call that he made in 2020 about find me 18,000 votes. This is what he's doing all over again. Find me more congressional seats. It's the same thing. He knows he can't win if he plays fairly, so he's trying to rig it.
Right. But he does know that he's going to be in Russia Friday instead of Alaska.
So anyway,
If I may interject real quick,
of course.
sir, I have to go to bed. I am extremely tired. If you would please drop me down. I appreciate you always having me up in your live. It is the highlight of my evening.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate that.
thank you. Yep.
And
Good
you're
night,
always
everybody.
welcome. Have a great night.
Good night, traffic.
All right. So let's start from the top. We're going to go down. We're going to start closing up early because I am actually very tired too. So let's start with Trucker. Any final thoughts about this or anything else?
Well, you know what? You just said something to me that was very poignant, and I thought about it before, but it was a thought that went in and went out. He can't. You're exactly right. He cannot keep the quiet parts in his head. He's got so much going on, and his mental collapse that he's got going on right now. It's just a total word salad. So he doesn't know what he's saying, and his handlers are not always around to correct him. So I've got to take that with a grain of salt now every time he speaks. I know if his mouth is moving, he's lying.
Oh yeah.
But
the thing is that his decline started a while ago. All right. In 2017, a couple dozen therapists got together and were interviewed for a book. I think it was called something like The Dangerous Case of Donald Dump, something like that. And in that book, they were talking about his mental decline. These were professionals. These were people who did this for a living, right? So it's almost like, the difference between a car speeding at you at 100 miles an hour and one of those, those rollers that tamp down gravel that move at 1 mile per hour. But, they're both going to do damage. It's just one's going to happen faster than the other, right? So
Right.
the steamroller is going to take a long time. But if you're still standing there when it gets to you, it's going to flatten you out, right? And that's what Dump is. His decline has been like a steamroller, slow and steady. 2019, another prominent psychologist got on television and said, yeah, we are witnessing frontotemporal dementia. We are seeing the effects of that. And he laid that out. And then I read about frontotemporal dementia, and he exhibits all of the characteristics of it. And just so you know, it is brain damage. That's what that describes, right? So it's not just slips of the tongue. It's not just gaffes. It's not just, the old guy stuff or forgetting someone's name. He is disintegrating in front of us. And that's why when he goes off the teleprompter, all hell breaks loose. Because he's left to his big empty head and the shit that's going to pour out of it. And that's when you literally see people around him squirming because they're like, oh, somebody stop him, cut his mic, cut his mic. I mean, like literally, Fox News has had to bail on several interviews with him because he starts admitting to crimes. If he goes on long enough and he's smelling his own farts and feeling good about bebopping and scatting all over the interview, he will start admitting to crimes. He's done it before.
I believe it. So again, thank you for letting me up. And I tell you every time I come to your lives, I learn something new. So, and today was no exception. So
I
thank you for
appreciate
pulling
that,
me.
and thank you for introducing us to your daughter. You know, the old saying is that you know a man by his fruits, and so clearly you did a great job with her, and kudos to you and your wife for that.
Yep, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, take it
Well,
easy.
speaking of fruit,
Yeah, Stephen
That
Martin.
was good.
I
That
always
was
like
cute.
saying your whole name, Stephen Martin.
thank you. It's a very popular name. Um, I'll just, you know, I didn't get to be here all night. I was wrapped up in phone calls all over the place. You know, the world is not full of hope, and there's like not a lot of good news that we're all looking forward to hearing. However, I've been doing a lot of work on, you know, counter-election like stuff for 2026, and I have to tell you, I remain hopeful. I really do. I did some phone banking the other day in a red district just about an hour north of me, and the people were enigmatic about how disappointed they are with their congressman. This is good for me because, you know, if you're new here and you don't know me that well, I live with a chronic form of leukemia that's not curable. My medication is over $200,000 a year.
Oh,
Donald Trump just cut my health care.
Jesus.
And I see people energized and ready to fight everywhere I go, no matter who I talk to, including Republicans. We got a lot that we're going to incur in the meantime, but I see a fighting spirit starting to reemerge, and this morning is no exception. I was in a meeting with a Senate candidate who's announcing tomorrow morning, who I was literally brought to tears by his story, by his life's journey. I mean, it made me want to pick up and move to that state. And as easy as it would be for me to be cynical, and it should be easy for me to be cynical, I'm so engaged right now, and I'm actually full of hope because of how angry people are getting and how much anger gives people the opportunity to take back their power, because we're reaching that moment where people go, enough. And as disgusted as I am about the American government, I can't help but still be hopeful about Americans. You know, we're an obstinate group of people who, in times of great peril, seem to find a way to meet the moment with each other as people and as people of this world. So I remain hopeful because I have to. This is a tough journey I'm on at the moment, but let's say tomorrow morning, keep your eyes on Iowa.
Excellent.
If you need something to lift you up.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, thank you so much for that. I happen to agree that the only hope that exists really is in the idea that people just aren't going to take it anymore. And I volunteer for a nonprofit. They're the largest pro-democracy nonprofit in America, called Represent Us. Their website is represent.us. And part of the reason why I was on a conference call on a Monday, which I'm usually not, is they just released a video that they did with Michael Douglas. And to the younger generation, not a particularly meaningful name, but anyone that's probably over 40 is going to know who Michael Douglas is. And he comes from essentially a royal family because of his father, Kirk Douglas. And he's one of the celebrities that works with Represent.us. I'm going to be making some content, at least one video around his video, and either play a snippet of it or have a still image from it, whatever it's going to be. But I too get on text banks. I don't do the phone banks because I don't want to talk to MAGA hats, but not on my downtime anyway. So I do get on text banks, and knowing the polls and the data that they have, I agree with Stephen completely. People are tired of this, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take sustained effort to get through this. It's not going to be let's black out Amazon on Sunday. That's not going to get it done. We have to do it the MLK way. That's a hashtag that I actually created. Hashtag the MLK way. Because MLK did a boycott in Montgomery that lasted over a year. And it was a year of daily sustained effort. And that's what it's going to take to topple a fascist regime. Not a weekend, not a day, not intermittent. We have to work together, possibly for more than a year. And it's going to get dark. People with that much money and that much power don't give up easily. They don't give up their power. They don't give up their money. They will fight. And a lot of people are going to get hurt, and a lot of lives are going to be lost. We hope it doesn't come to that. We hope that a peaceful protest will do the trick. But in order for that to happen, we need at least 12 million people to all row in one direction, and that has not been happening yet. So I agree with Stephen that there is hope. Danny, your final thoughts, please, and you'll have to unmute yourself.
Jessica's above me. Didn't see her.
Oh no! Her box
Still
was
here.
Yeah, I forgot you were there because your box is invisible to me. But please, Jessica, what are your final thoughts?
No, I agree that there is still hope. I personally I am involved in a couple of different organizations here in my state. One of which being the League of Women Voters of Arkansas. What they do is to do legislative research and also create ballot initiatives for the state of Arkansas. And then also just here recently, I have volunteered to work on the campaign trail for Hallie Schaffner, which is running for Senate against Senator Tom Cotton here in Arkansas. And I will say that I'm really hopeful because me in particular, I live in I mean, Arkansas in and of itself is a ruby red state. And where I live, I'm up in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. It is as red can get. But there's this tide starting to shift where people are fired up. They are pissed off. And I mean, Tom Cotton isn't particularly popular here anyways, but people keep voting for him just because he's a Republican. But now they see someone who she's a 6th generation farmer here in Arkansas who, who knows what it's like. And even though she's not a Republican, people are actually really excited for the possibility of having just a normal fucking person who actually cares about our state. And so I would not be surprised if this midterm we had an actual Democrat senator in Arkansas. And that would be huge. That would be huge for our state. And I am really hopeful. I see a lot of people really coming out and really letting their voices be heard about how unhappy they are with this administration. And I think that if people continue to do that, and if people continue shedding the light on what all is going around, talk to everyone you see. I know people don't like to talk about politics these days, except for on these lives and things like that. I know people don't like to rock the boat. Stop being afraid to rock the boat. This is the future of our country. Talk about it till you're blue in the face. Talk to as many people as you can. And, if you can and are able to get involved with local elections in your area, even just city councils and shit like that, please do that. Everybody, please do your part, because we're about to the point of no return.
Forget about rocking the boat. The boat's sinking. So let's
Yeah.
get to it. Thank you for all your input. You're like a walking
Thanks for
dictionary,
having
and
me,
I
Yoddah.
appreciate that about you. And by the way, is it true that there's a part of the Ozarks that is referred to as the Redneck Riviera?
Yes, that is true.
I love that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Spectacular.
Yeah,
All right.
that would I believe that is the Buffalo River, which is about 30 minutes for me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, well, so that's something anyway.
Yeah.
Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All
Bye.
right, Danny. Now, the last man standing. What are your final thoughts?
I honestly don't have any real final thought. You had a good live, short and sweet. Uh, I just think that what we talked about today with the DC and Texas gerrymandering and everything that we talked about, to include a possible, it ain't gonna be a civil war. I have to agree with you. If we have any poo pooing going on, it's going to be uh, Trump's little private army like Blackwater to do something stupid like that, using contractors. I think a lot of the military is going to stand down if that order is given. So it's going to be a private army of his, but kind of like Hitler had Gestapos of some type. So some type of special units. But otherwise, that's why I verified again today. He did fire that chief of staff over the weekend, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and he also they've had up to 30 uh, 3 or 4 star generals. They're all generals that resigned. So
Yeah, by
that
the
is
way, all told, 300 resignations over the weekend.
right. 300. There was quite a few generals
Right.
that said "Adios, hasta luego," but that is unreal.
And as they were leaving, the reason that they gave for why they were retiring was Dump is a traitor.
Right. Yeah, I saw that too. And I shared that on several sites. I read the article today. So anyway, I I was flabbergasted because being a career soldier that I was for over 20 years, I just thought that was amazing and very unheard of that even came to fruition in this time and age. But I don't think that's the end. I think there's going to be a lot more resign. And I think we're going to see a lot more early retirement of the senior non-commissioned officers also in the Army, in all the branches.
Yeah. And, someone just made the comment that they shouldn't have retired but fought for the oath. But, their oath is meaningless if their commander in chief is defying the Constitution. So this
That's
was
right.
really the only option, because if they stayed, they would have been complicit in his illegal ongoing. So it's a rock and a hard place, basically. But I definitely understand why they chose to quit. They don't
Yeah.
want to be part of this. They don't want to be, because also, there's this thing that happens with humans. When you read about the Stanford prison experiment, and then you read about Abu Ghraib,
Yep.
it's all the same. When you give power to people and allow them to abuse people, they will, right? We like to think that we won't. We like to believe that we're better than we are, but Psychology teaches us that there's a huge difference between what people think they are and what they actually are. And all these people that think about, oh, it's about, truth, justice, and the American way, they found out very quickly that when the shit hits the fan, their bumper sticker bullshit is going to fail them. So if I were in that position of these generals and the choice was either retire or keep serving under a fascist, I'm almost certain that I would have taken the choice to retire.
Yes, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. Like I told you months ago, if I was still in the service right now as a sergeant major, for a prime example, I would have put my retirement paperwork in yesterday because
Right.
I would not want to work for a man that's convicted felon and a 5-time draft dodger. Period. He's a coward, and I don't like, and nor do I trust cowards.
I don't blame you. Well, Danny, thank you so much for
Anyway,
being here. It was fun doing the co-host thing on your live tonight. I
the
wish
Lord,
I wish I could have stayed for the whole thing, but once they announced this Michael Douglas thing, I had to get on that conference call. But yeah, if anybody wants to participate in fighting against the government, writing letters to the editor, writing letters to your senators, phone banking, all that stuff, go to represent.us. Whenever they onboard new volunteers, I'm now part of the team that brings them on. I don't get paid for this, but they call me one of the team captains for the social media group. So great, but I have now some responsibilities in terms of what I do for the organization, and it's worth it to me. My time is the most valuable commodity that I own, as it is for everybody else, and so where I spend it is very important to me. And I am proud to be associated with this. As a matter of fact, on my profile, you'll see three playlists. Easy for me to say. You'll see 3 playlists, one of which is called Represent Us. And I've done, I think, 7 or so videos for the different causes that they are focused on. So, I invite everybody to check that out. So, Danny, as always, it's been a pleasure. And with any luck, we'll talk tomorrow.
Lord willing, but I can say this: they couldn't pick the better pan to have as a captain on their team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, man. Have a great night.
Have a good night, my friend.
All right, folks. That's it. That wraps up another Yoddah Live. For anyone that doesn't know, I go on Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be changing things up eventually. I'm not exactly sure what the time frame is going to be, but I'm going to start doing some private sessions on Discord. So we'll see how that's going to work out. I might go Monday through Friday on TikTok and then Saturday on Discord. We'll see. We'll see how that's going to work. But anyway, for all of you who stayed throughout the entire live, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tapping. Thank you for gifting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. But most of all, thank you for being here. I always appreciate it. So, as always, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.